what's going on, everyone? It's Chris, and welcome to the first postseason edition of ManicManiac Predicts of 2017. Welcome to the wild card round, everyone. How is everyone doing today? I am doing fantastic. This weekend, you'll be seeing 4 playoff games, the first 4 of the NFL postseason. And we'll decide who will take on the number 1 and 2 seeds of each conference in the NFC and AFC. It's bound to be an interesting weekend. We have a great slate for the NFC. A lot of teams that deserve to be there. A lot of interesting storylines on every side. And then you have the AFC, which a lot of people are very disappointed about. But I say give it a chance. You know, there might be a clear favorite. But anything can happen on any day. And when it comes to sports and football specifically, there's really an unpredictability factor that we always have to factor in. And we may leave the playoffs altogether and say, wow, the Raiders and Texans was the best playoff game during that entire playoff. And that might not even be a bad thing to say. People will probably agree with you. Who knows? I just say, and I think we need to kind of let it just happen, let everything go on as is. Anything with from the Raiders and Texans and Dolphins, who I think are underdogs, the big underdogs. You never know what they can pull out, because there's a reason why they're in the playoffs. There's a reason why they are on top. There's something good about them, So. And we don't have any teams in here with losing records. They all have gotten winning records one way or another. So just something to keep in mind. So later on in the show, we'll have my good friend Gocubs 711 join us for picks, which should be a lot of fun. We'll also discuss some of the head coaching changes. But first, I want to immediately get to the prediction record from last season, for this regular season. And I finished with 166 correct picks, 88 incorrect picks, and 2 games that are not accounted for here. Those are ended in ties. That was the Cardinals Seahawks. I apologize, and Bengals and Redskins. That was about week 7, week 8, around there. That was those 2 games that ended in ties. And that doesn't go against other people's records, and you don't usually predict ties, so it's not going to go against you. So 166 to 88, and that is far better than what I did last year, which I believe finished up with 141 to 110 or something like that. It was not as good, and even if I bomb the postseason here, and I just go 0-11, which there are 11 playoff games, I would still end it with under 100 losses, which is I think is really good, and I'm proud of myself. I think I've grown as an NFL fan this year, grown as someone who loves the sport a lot. I had a rough patch in the very beginning where I was not really into NFL football as much. I was more into college football. But the past few weeks have taught me that this is the game, this is the league I love, this is the sport I love, and I'm very much looking forward to the playoffs. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be more fun than people are giving it credit for, because, again, anything can happen in the postseason. That's the beauty of chaos. Team Chaos for the win. I also want to get to some of the preseason predictions that I had initially. He already talked about how my ultimate playoff predictions were off. We discussed that, I believe, last week. But let me get into the other stuff I predicted. First of all, I did 2 guarantees. I said that these 4 teams would not make the playoffs, and I ultimately got this right. The Browns so hardly missed the playoffs, and same with the 49ers. They were terrible. The Chargers, it seemed like they were kept on, pushing, and they seemed like a team that could get in, but just kept on blowing games. So that's what ended up with them. And I gotta be honest. If Mariota stayed on the field against the Jaguars, came back to win, they would be in the playoffs right now. And if he wasn't injured, and obviously there is that what if factor about the Titans that probably could have, against a carless Raiders team, they could have gone to the next round. So we really don't know what it would have been like to have the Titans in, and we won't know until possibly next year. But we at least got this right. I guarantee that none of these teams would do well. Would make the playoffs, and they didn't. But kudos to the Titans and kudos to the Chargers. I know they're kind of in a shitty situation right now, but I think there's a good future for both of these teams. All right, here's another one of the guarantees. I said that all 4 of these teams will make the playoffs. Unfortunately, I was half right, half wrong. I almost was three quarters of the way wrong if the Packers didn't pull off a miracle comeback, winning their last 6 games. But the Cardinals and Panthers, just dropped the bullet completely. Just could not get the job done. The Patriots, though, continue to be the most dominant team in the NFL. So I'm glad I put them in the guarantee, that's for sure. But other than that, we were not completely right about that, so I said the whole thing is wrong. So we also did some bold predictions. These I don't ever expect to get right, but there's one bold prediction that is still in play here. We'll start with the Browns the Browns and Steelers here. I predicted preseason that RG3 and would have more yards or more touchdowns than Ben Roethlisberger. I didn't bother to check ahead of time, but I'm almost certain that is not the case. Not at all. RG3 missed a lot of the season, and I think he threw his first touchdown pass last game. So it's just no, it didn't happen. I don't think he had a lot of yards either. Ben Roethlisberger dominates in that category. He's a Pro Bowler. I wanted to see if that came true. I think that was my boldest of all predictions. But I was hoping it would at least be kind of close, but RG3 going down in week 1 really put a damper on things. All right, bold prediction number 2. Broncos and Rams would both start their rookie quarterbacks this year, and it happened, so I guess that's a check mark for me. Now, it wasn't actually too bold, I guess. You would kind of expect Jared Goff to kind of get work, and Paxton Lynch ended up just coming in when Trevor Siemian had an injury. But I don't know. I think Jared Goff, you thought that he was just going to have a redshirt season, and then he comes in and starts with the Rams kind of on a struggling collision course, and he does come in, but he doesn't really do anything fantastic for the team. In fact, there's now more questions than answers when it comes to Jared Goff. So interesting stuff developing there. And then this one is still in play. I said the Raiders would go as far as the AFC Championship game. Well, that looks a little bleak now, considering what happened to Derek Carr. It doesn't even seem like they'll get out of the wild card. But, you never know. Anything can happen. I don't want to guarantee that the Raiders will not make it to the AFC Championship game, but it seems unlikely at this point. So unfortunately that bold prediction might go out the window, but it seemed like they were on the verge, and all I can do is cling on to that, what if, but we'll see what happens next year. I think there's going to be a lot of growth for that team, and I think they'll come out swinging once again. All right, so let's get into our kickoff topic. We're going to keep on doing this during the playoffs. There's not going to be a lot to talk about. Probably it'll be a lot of recapping what happened the previous weekend and stuff, but obviously this week had a lot of storylines. As of this recording, 6 head coaches have been fired or retired. The Rams, the Jaguars, and the Bills all fired their head coach before Sunday. That was Jeff Fisher, Gus Bradley, and Rex Ryan, all out of a job. And then late on Sunday, Chip Kelly was fired. And my opinion on that is I don't think he deserved it. I think that he deserves a second shot. But I also understand that if you fire a general manager, which Trent Baalke needed to be fired for the 49ers, that the GM probably wants to hire his own head coach. So I guess it would depend on if you wanted to maybe keep Kelly and maybe have Kelly help in the search of finding a general manager, because you don't want Kelly to be your general manager, right? But I guess they just decided just to go clean house, and I get it. I just feel bad for Chip Kelly, because I don't think that he deserved to get fired after only a year. And that would be the second year in a row that the 49ers have fired a head coach a year after hiring them. They did the same thing last year with Jim Tom Sula. That was it's a shame. I think it's not fair to the Niners, to those head coaches. I think they need a lot more time to grow. I don't care what your expectations are. This is not an elite roster. This is not a team that is ready to win games on a constant basis. You need to grow a better roster. You need a new GM. I don't think you need a new head coach, and I think Chip Kelly was starting to get get players interested, and they liked him, and now you're just going to kick him out of the building and just say that he was the issue, or just say that, oh, you need a culture change. I think that is just a huge mistake. I think it was a wasted year. These past 2 years have been wasted years, and I don't like using that term, even if it's a really bad losing team, because I think at least you grow. I don't think the Niners have grown at all, and I think firing a head coach after only a year, firing general manager after only a year, in any case, it's not good, and it's not going to keep anyone happy. I think you can't listen to fans constantly, because fans are going to want the guy's head the minute he has one lost game, so. And that's my opinion on it. I think that they could have kept him, but unfortunately that was not the case. I'm going to talk about the Broncos one in a second. The Chargers fired Mike McCoy. I felt like he never really made a huge impact on the league as the head coach of the San Diego Chargers. I know he led the team to the playoffs once, but I just, to me, I think that he got the bad end of the stick with the Chargers, but at the same time, I understand why he was fired. There was games that they had. There was games that they could have held on to, and then they just let go of the lead. Was that necessarily his fault? It might have been, but it might not have been, but I think it could definitely lead to that. Why is it that you constantly? Why is it your team goes up so early? Why can't your team hold on to those leads? Because if they did, they could have had a winning record right now. But instead, they're sitting where they are, and it's just a sucky situation for them. So I think that he did deserve to be fired. Do I think that he deserves a second chance somewhere else, though? I think that's something that some of these teams might want to look into, though, because I mean, he people like him. As far as I know, there's a lot of people that like him as a head coach. He doesn't seem like a bad coach either, so I think that he deserves a second chance. I think that there was just too many mistakes this year to let him stay. And he was also dealt a really bad hand again with the relocation shit, and then you had all those players on IR. It was bad. So let's see what happens with that. And now we have the Broncos, and this was the shocking news of the week. Gary Kubiak has decided to retire. He is no longer the head coach of the Denver Broncos. It was for health reasons. He felt like he could not hold on to having all those responsibilities, and he worried that it would get to him, and it would, he knows that he's fine right now, but he doesn't want to not be fine down the road. And this was a decision that he made to just further, just to make sure that he can still enjoy his life. And I say good for him. He changed the Broncos for the better. He came in, and in 1 year with the team, won the team a Super Bowl. With the help of John Elway, they built a great defense, and the offense could have been better, but he did what he could with what he had, and I think that I think that is something that's it's hard to win a Super Bowl when you don't have a great offense, and they were able to do that with a great defense. So kudos to him. He seems like a great guy, and I watched his documentary on NFL Network called Worth the Wait, and it was on him and all his coaching staff that have been waiting so long to get a Super Bowl ring, and they all finally got theirs, and it's a heartwarming story, and he deserves, after 2 great years with the franchise, despite coming up short this year, I think he deserves to enjoy retirement. So congratulations to him. And this is now, to me, the Denver Broncos. At first I was going to say the San Diego Chargers are probably going to be the franchise you want to look into as the top team, but now it might be the Broncos. At this point now in the video, I'm filming this kind of early in the week. If there was any more firings or crazy things that happen, I will cut here and I will move on to future me and we'll talk about that. But if not, let's move on to our playoff predictions. And in a second here, Gocubs will join us and we'll get started with our first playoff predictions of the season. All right, we are back with Gocubs 7-11.
Did you know that dragons are like onions?
I didn't think it was the dragons that were like onions.
They have layers.
I thought it was the green
guys. They have layers.
Okay.
Layers.
There's
layers.
Lots of
layers. Get it?
Layers. Layers.
Jokes I steal from Twitter.
I got it. I forgot that dragons had layers. All right, so welcome everyone back to the prediction show. We're gonna just run right through these wildcard weekend. How excited are you for the wildcard weekend? What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to watching a lot of football and seeing my dreams get crushed. I'd say I only have one of my teams that are actually in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I'm looking most forward to just finally giving up on the New York Giants this season and just focusing on football. I cannot wait. So, but anyways, let's jump into these wildcard matchups, and I don't care what anyone says. I'm looking forward to these games. I think they all have a lot of excitement towards them, and I'm most looking forward to this game. The Oakland Raiders take on the Houston Texans. That'll be the opening game at 4:30.
Mexico Chew, Electric Boogaloo.
It'll take place at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ABC and ESPN. They'll be simulcasting them both. So this has the makings of an ugly game, but don't count out the watchability of this game. One player to watch, Lamar Miller of the Houston Texans, who has been very under the radar, has had a great season at running back, and will try to take the load off of Brock Osweiler. Tom Savage was originally supposed to start in this game, but he is right now in the concussion protocol. So Brock Osweiler, who did start for the Broncos a lot of last season and was the main Houston Texans quarterback all this season, is going to be starting again after being benched and just being terrible a lot of the season.
Everyone was angry because they were paying him a lot of money, but then he didn't play football well, so
yeah. it really just painted
whose fault is that?
Yeah, the Texans, when they in the offseason when they signed him, Bill O'Brien was the head coach. He was just like, yeah, I didn't really watch a lot of tape on him, but I trust that that he's gonna be a good quarterback for us. And I'm just like, dude, that's your job.
Amazing.
But anyway, so in addition to that, Connor Cook, the former Michigan State quarterback, is expected to be starting in this game. Matt McGloin does not seem like he's on track at the moment to starting it. Can
I say something about Michigan State real quick?
Oh, absolutely. Within
a single school year, they disappointed the nation in 2 sports. All right, continue.
Amazing. So Connor Cook, he's an interesting prospect because he has the arm of a professional quarterback, but he is definitely raw and mistake prone. But he is surrounded by a lot of talent. You got Amari Cooper, Michael Crabtree, and Seth Roberts. Those three wide receivers have been a staple in the offense for that team. And running backs DeAndre Washington and Latavius Murray will hope to keep the load off of Cook's work. The keys to the game will be defense. Will Texans' top-rated defense take down the cardless Raiders? Or will Khalil Mack and Bruce Irvin of the Raiders step up and take down the dumpster fire Texans offense? Go Cubs. Take it away.
Well, the defense is really hard to get around, and especially with a third string quarterback, the Raiders are going to have a hard time offensively getting things done. However, Raiders defense is pretty average.
Yeah.
And the Texans offense is, as you said, a flaming garbage fire.
Yeah.
With extra amounts of cat shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't think that the Texans have what it takes to score. They have what it takes to prevent the Raiders from scoring, but I don't think they have what it takes to score themselves.
Yeah. So yeah, you going with Raiders.
Yes, I'm going with the Raiders.
All right. As for me, I mean, this is one of the tougher games to pick. I think you look at this, and I think what's going to be the main factors is how the running games end up, and if the defenses can step up. And the Texans actually have the number 1 total defense in the NFL. So if that's hopefully that works in their favor, because their secondary has been very underrated, been playing pretty well. Jadeveon Clowney has been leading a rush defense that's been playing awesome, even without J.J. Watt. I think I have a lot of faith in the Raiders that they could make some plays, even without Derek Carr's arm. But I think this is going to be a close game. I think this is going to be a fun game to watch, because you don't know what's going to happen. And I think it could be a close one. I'm actually going to go with the Texans, but did not expect myself to pick the Texans to win the game. But I think that the defense is going to definitely play a huge factor in that. So there you go.
All right, can I do my segment now?
Sure.
All right, so for the color matchups of these two teams, this is something that I really like analyzing for whatever reason, just because I think it's fun. So the Raiders are primarily black and gray. I think gray is their primary color, black is secondary, and they've got some white in there too. But every team has white, so that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
But
it's gonna be white. I believe it'll be white jerseys.
Okay. But just in general, they're definitely the most monochrome team in the NFL. But I think that works for them. I think that's a really cool theme for them. As for the Texans, they're blue and red with some white, and that's used by other teams. Like those same shades are used by the Patriots, who have existed for much longer than they have, and even the Titans use that, even though the Titans is more of a lighter blue. So I think the Raiders win the color matchup in this one.
Yeah,
for uniqueness, and with all the other colorful teams, the monochrome stuff stands out.
Yeah, the Raiders are historic for their black hole mentality, and people have always deemed the Raiders as having one of the best uniforms in the NFL. So yeah, you can't go wrong with it. You can't go wrong. So I 100% back your sentiment. Let's move on to the primetime matchup of the wild card weekend, the NBC matchup at 8 o'clock between the Detroit Lions and the Seattle Seahawks. Now, both teams have been slipping the past few weeks, both going 3-3 in their last 6 games. Lions are coming off of a 3-game losing streak, in fact, that followed a 5-game winning streak. Matthew Stafford has had a great season under center for Detroit, but the run game has not really shown up. Zach Zenner has shown some flashes, but has not really solved that running game, and it'll be very tough against the Seahawks with Michael Bennett and Cliff Averill at the line in the trenches, just beating up on poor Zenner. The Seattle's offense can't get their run game going, and the passing game has also slipped over the weeks. Russell Wilson has had a rough time behind a porous offensive line, and their defense is still great. You know, you have Bobby Wagner leading the league in tackles, but it is lacking star player Earl Thomas, who broke his leg a few weeks ago. So can the Lions use their comeback habits they've had all season and shock Seattle? Or will the Seahawks get enough help from the 12s to pull out the win? Gocubs.
Well, I think that it's going to be really hard for Detroit playing in Seattle just because of the 12-man, the 12-man thing there. It's crazy. It's awesome, but it's crazy.
I love that stadium. Love the stadium.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. But overall, I think the Seahawks, even though they had they were the best team in a really bad division this year, and we're actually one of the first teams to they were the first team to like win the division, right?
Seahawks were the first ones because the Cowboys were in a close one with the Giants.
Cowboys clinched a playoff berth, but they didn't clinch the division.
Yeah, Seahawks were the first.
Yeah. So like that's something to note, and like winning their last game. Granted, it was against San Francisco, who are not a good team this year. And it was a narrow victory. It was a narrow victory given that it was San Francisco.
Exactly, pretty much.
But I think that Seattle still has what it takes, and they're more of a playoff caliber team than Detroit is. If Detroit would have beaten Green Bay, obviously this matchup wouldn't be happening. But I think that would have made Detroit a much better case. But in this case, I think Seattle's gonna take it.
Yeah, I
There's
agree.
another reason I want Seattle, but I'll go into that later.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Seattle, you know, a lot of people are down in Seattle, and they have every right to be. This is not the Seattle team that we're all used to seeing, the one that's been, dominating the NFC for so long, and they definitely have a lot of work to do in the offseason. They need to build a lot more protection around Russell Wilson and get some more, get some more players around him that can make huge plays. Doug Baldwin has been great. Jimmy Graham has been great. But you just need more than that. You need a run game. You need great running backs. So
CJ Process was doing great until he got sent to IR.
Yeah, IR. That's the better one.
Yeah. I said ER, but then I corrected myself.
Yeah, no. The Seattle, to me, I think though when you look at their record at home, they're 7-1. Their one loss came was their latest home game against the Cardinals, and it was by a missed field goal or missed extra point by the Seahawks. It was a very close game, and very rarely do you see these guys lose at home. I just don't think Detroit has the capabilities to top the Seahawks. I'm going with Seattle. They're going to be moving on. They'll take on, if this is the scenario, they'll be taking on the Falcons the next week. That'll be no matter what, since they are the 3 seed. So,
and if Detroit wins, they'll take it on Dallas no matter what.
Right, exactly. Which could be an interesting game, but I don't think as interesting as Seattle at Atlanta. That'll be. Yeah. I'm very interested in that. All right, let's move on to Sunday. The early afternoon game. It is Oh wait, do you want to talk about the uniform matchup for the Seahawks? Oops.
All right. So Seahawks, the blue and green teal thing works really well in my opinion. It definitely makes the C aspect of Seattle work really well. And like I've always associated the state of Washington with green for whatever reason. I think it was like a map I had when I was younger that Washington was green on it.
They have a lot of trees in the Washington area, so
yeah. So it works well, and then combined with Seattle being a sea city. Going off that real quick, towns or cities that aren't near a major body of water, like Indianapolis, really freak me the fuck out. Chicago makes sense, Seattle makes sense, LA makes sense, even St. Louis makes sense because it's on the Mississippi River. But Indianapolis,
New York City makes sense. Detroit,
anything in Texas just weirds me out.
Yeah, Yeah, you wonder why. I guess they all have their own little reasons why they decided to make those cities. There, but. Yeah.
Anyways, went off on a tangent.
Yeah, that's okay. I agree with you. I like the Seahawks uniforms much more. Than the Lions.
But the Lions, it's just it's blue and gray, and I said the gray worked well for Oakland, but like the blue and silver, it's just kind of like it's all light. It's like light blue and light silver, and then you got white. It's like there's no variance. Like Seahawks, you got bright green, but then dark blue, and it looks better. So Seahawks win the color matchup, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think historically it's nice to see the Lions uniforms, but better at home. Not on the road. I don't enjoy them as much on the road. This is, by the way, I do want to point out before we move on, Lions at Seahawks. This is the rematch of the Monday Night Football game from last year, where the game ended on a batted fumble out of the end zone that would have given the Lions the ball to score a touchdown, but they didn't get it back. The refs blew that call, and the Seahawks ended up winning that game. And that probably mattered that in the long run to the Seahawks actually making the playoffs last year. So,
oh wow!
So it's some interesting history. I can't speak.
Yes.
And Golden Tate revenge game as well. So now let's move on to the early afternoon game. The Miami Dolphins, first playoff berth since 2008, going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers at home. The Steelers will be at home, rather. The Dolphins blew out the Steelers in their first meeting earlier this year. It was a 30-14 or 15 game in Miami. But now the game's in Pittsburgh, and the Steelers are looking for revenge after a 7-game win streak. Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, and Antonio Brown are looking to continue their dominant offensive ways, while Pittsburgh's defense continues to get better each day. Jay Ajayi, meanwhile, is looking to help lead the Dolphins' offense with another huge performance. He's been on and off for the past few weeks, but he's one of few running backs that had back-to-back 200-yard games, and I think that he could have a huge impact on this game if he plays well. We do have Matt Moore probably stepping in for Ryan Tannehill. As of this recording, we don't know what the decision on that is. Tannehill might be healthy.
I would love to see Tannehill come back.
I would like to see Tannehill come back because I'm sick of the backup quarterbacks. I would love to see Tannehill come back for this game, and I think that would be a huge factor. But Matt Moore, he has been playing well for the Dolphins while Tannehill's been out. Now Moore and Ajayi are going to be kind of like the focus, but obviously Moore is going to get help from Jarvis Landry and Kenny Stills at wide receivers. Those two guys are playmakers. That will help them a lot. And on the defensive side, you have Cameron Wake, who is third in the AFC in sacks, and Kiko Alonso, who is ninth in tackles. And Tony Lippett has been an important part of the Dolphins secondary. So if those players play at their very best, they may slow Pittsburgh's high-flying offense down. So can the Miami Dolphins pull the upset for the second time, or will Steelers punch their ticket to Kansas City?
All right, so how I see it is that the Dolphins have a lot going for them, but with Tannehill not being there, and with the Steelers' offense just being as on fire as they unfortunately are, that should show what my cards are. And like I've been following like Jarvis Landry particularly throughout the season because he was on my fantasy team and he was doing some all right stuff. Actually, some pretty good stuff overall. And they've definitely got a good group of wide receivers, but I don't think that'll be enough for them to overtake the Steelers, who have just been so dominating these past few weeks.
Yeah, I'm going to be with you on there. I'm going with the Steelers as well. I think that the Dolphins, they have a shot. Jarvis Landry, he hasn't had an amazing season. He had a great season in 2015. Hasn't lived up to like the hype from that time. But if they could get the ball to him, he like his good friend Odell Beckham, they have this ability just to grab the ball and just make everyone miss and run into the end zone. They are playmakers. And if they can get the ball to him and Kenny Stills, who's had almost like a big play per game, the Dolphins, I think, have a really good shot. This is definitely a very intriguing game because the Dolphins, they blew out the Steelers the first time. I could see this game still being close, but I think the Steelers still have the edge. And
the experience.
And the experience, too. There's just something that I saw on Christmas Eve, which I think was the best game all year, between the Steelers and the Ravens, that game, it just proved how dominant right now the Steelers are. That Le'Veon Bell just continues to run through people. Antonio Brown continues to just make big plays. And Ben Roethlisberger is still one of the best quarterbacks right now in the league. It's tough for me to see them slowing it down. I'm going with the Steelers as well.
Yeah.
Uniform matchup.
All right, so showing even more of my cards, I can't stand any team from Pittsburgh, so I hate the black and yellow color combination.
Fair enough.
So even though the Dolphins' uniform colors are fucking orange and teal,
which I love those colors, by the way. Love it.
So fucking weird together, but like I like that better than the Steelers black and yellow. So the Dolphins win the color matchup.
Yeah, I will say this. I love teal and orange just because those are my colors. Those are my colors I've always stood by. I'm like that's also like the Mets colors too. So like I've always been like a blue and orange guy. So yeah. I definitely am in the corner of the Dolphins, but I can understand the Steelers are historic and they have
it's really iconic. But like, be more creative, Pittsburgh.
Between their
all
teams.
your fucking sports teams are the same colors.
Yeah. Off subject a little bit, but did the Penguins like permanently move their uniforms to being black and yellow instead of like black and like faded like gold? Because
I have no idea.
Yeah, because I've been watching some games recently and it's like I have no idea. They I guess they just shifted over permanently to black and yellow. It's just like, well, there's your transition right there. But I think this is going to be a really, really great game. I'm looking forward to it. So let's move on to what many people are saying is going to be the closest or even just the marquee matchup of the Wild Card weekend. That is the finale on Fox at 4:30 between the New York Giants at the Green Bay Packers. That is going to be in 7-degree weather, apparently, which is very similar to what we had in Minnesota last year. That is just cold as hell. But this will be a much different game than the game played earlier this year that was played during the second presidential debate. Packers ran the table and won the division in unlikely fashion after Aaron Rodgers turned up the heat. It has been playing lights out the past few weeks, posting an 18-0 touchdown to interception ratio in the last 6 weeks. Jesus.
As well as now having the most passing touchdowns.
Yes, he has 40 throughout the entire season, which is insane. Ty Montgomery is the new running back for them. After playing wide receiver for so long and has saved the run game a little bit. The Packers defense is slowly playing better as Clay Matthews and Nick Perry have been a key part in bringing this team back to life. And Clinton Dix has had a Pro Bowl caliber season.
Football
On that is in the top 5. But the Packers may hit a brick wall as the vaulted Giants defense comes to town, led by pass rushers Damon Harrison, Olivia Verdon, and possibly Jason Pierre-Paul if he comes back from injury. And then they also have a great secondary that includes Janoris Jenkins, Landon Collins, and Eli Apple. This defense, top to bottom, will be tough to get through. Eli Manning has not played well at all, but Odell Beckham Jr. has been one of the best wide receivers in the league, saving the Giants like one game at a time, essentially. And Paul Perkins has brought the running game back to life as well. So a lot of running game saving here in these two games. Between these two teams. So will the Giants defense shut down the Packers, or will Aaron Rodgers make Big Blue a little blue?
It's going to be a close game, as you've been saying. I think that I think if the Packers start out early, like start out ahead, they're gonna just continue to wipe the floor with the Giants, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, easily.
Yeah, but I do think that the Giants have a lot, and they have a lot to play for. This is their first playoff appearance since the season that they last won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, 2011. Yeah.
2011. Yeah. They haven't gotten over the loss of Michael Strahan until now.
Until now, yeah.
But he's been in our hearts and on our TVs.
And on like every other commercial, pretty much.
Yeah. I have a story about that I'll tell you later.
Okay.
Uh, but but my prediction is going to be the Giants, and that is because I think that the fact that they had the number 5 seed, like, well, the fact that that until the last couple of weeks they were still in the running to win the division, and that was granted that the Cowboys lost out, but the fact that they were that close, and the fact that they they were able to take down another playoff caliber team in Washington, uh, and just with a lot of other things, I think that they have a really good chance of winning. Uh,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I'm going with the Giants, and the reason for that, in addition to the fact that I think they can win, is that if the Giants if the Giants do win, and if the Seahawks win, the Giants will take on the Cowboys, and I want to see that so badly because the Giants are right now the only team to beat the Cowboys at full capacity.
Right. Yeah. They did. The Cowboys did lose this weekend to the Eagles, but that does not count.
I'm not counting that.
That I'm not counting it either. I'm sure. If I say the Giants are the only ones to really beat the Cowboys, Eagles fans will be pissed. But sorry, that's what it is.
No. You beat the Cowboys' second string. Congrats.
Yeah, but regardless of that, you have more faith in my team than I do. Honestly, I'm looking at this and I'm feeling the Washington game really made my confidence go a little bit up about the Giants because they felt good enough to actually put their starters out there, and I was very worried that someone was going to end up getting injured. I always think worst case scenario, but they wanted to try to improve their offense a little bit, so that's why they played everyone. They kept a lot of their defensive players out there too, and they took the Washington Redskins out of the playoffs altogether. And there's one thing that I've definitely taken out of the last game is that the running game, as I just mentioned, has turned around, something that the Giants have struggled with over the past few years, getting some sort of running game going. And Paul Perkins, who is a rookie out of UCLA, has definitely shown up, has definitely played well. So in that sense, I want to go with the Giants. But regardless of that, the Packers are just playing way too good right now. They are just bulldozing the teams, bulldozing all their opponents, and they have just single-handedly just proven everyone wrong. Aaron Rodgers said it himself. They said they were going to run the table after going 4-6, and they did it. I will not be surprised if they continue doing so. I gotta go with the Packers. I have more faith in them than I do my own team, but oh well. What about the uniform matchup for this game?
All right, so the once again being a lifelong Bears fan, I think that yellow and green just looks so tacky. I like Bulls don't like seeing red,
right?
And I know that's like a myth, but like I get angry when I see green and yellow paired together.
Yeah, I can understand that from the rivalry standpoint.
But like it's an iconic color combination, I guess, in the same vein that the Steelers are. But fuck Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
The Giants look really like standard, I guess, with the red and blue.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said before, other teams have red and blue, and I think the Giants are the only ones to have royal blue and red.
I think you're right.
Because Patriots and Texans both have navy, and Titans have sky blue.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, this one's hard for me. I will say the logo that they use for the New York Giants in a lot of the NFL promotional stuff, with just the blue background with the red outline of the NY without any white whatsoever, looks really ugly, and I can't read it. Like I can barely read it, and it's like, just for that, I'm gonna give it to the Packers.
No, yeah, I would go with the Packers in this sense, but if it was, I think the home jerseys for both of these teams are better than their road jerseys. I don't like the Giants road jerseys. I just don't. They just seem like practice jerseys more than anything.
Yeah, the white, the red.
Yeah, and the Packers road jersey isn't bad, but I like the royal blue Giants. I do like the green jerseys and a lot more. but yeah, and yeah, this game I think it's historic in a lot of ways because you have two teams that have been around for so long, and these are two, organizations that are proud and been around since the early 20th century and all that.
Yeah.
Belch. But the to me, this is going to be a fun game. I'm looking forward to it. And if the Giants come out on top, I'm gonna be of course, I'll be very, very happy. It'll be a miracle that they've gotten this far. So yeah, let's move on here. Let's do some bold predictions because
Let's think mine.
Okay, so
you do yours first.
I'll do mine first, and I wanted to do more bold predictions throughout the season. I just did some in the pre season prior to the start of this season. But my bold prediction for the wild card round is that Connor Cook and Brock Osweiler will have a combined touchdown to interception ratio of 6-2. So
all right.
6 passing touchdowns between the two of them and 2 interceptions. Despite how good the Texans defense has been, and despite maybe some tough situations with the Raiders, the tough quarterback situation on either side, rather, I think 6 touchdowns would be a miracle for
right,
between these two quarterbacks.
All right, I've got my bold prediction.
All right, what's that?
All right, exactly 2 teams will score single digits, and exactly 2 teams will score 31 or more points.
Okay.
The other 6 will score between 10 and 30 inclusive.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I like it. So you're looking at probably maybe the Raiders maybe scoring maybe in the single digits.
Yeah,
maybe the Lions.
I don't know which ones.
Yeah, I'm trying to see how that could end up happening. Then you have maybe the Steelers or Packers maybe scoring the 30 points. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. That's a good one. I like that. So we'll write that down. So Connor Cook and Brock Osweiler have quarterback worthy lovely days, and then and Gocubs says that it's going to be 2 teams with 30 or more points, and
31 or more.
31 or more. I apologize. And 2 teams will have single-digit point totals. Should be good.
Yep.
Should be good. All right. And now to our Super Bowl predictions. Both of us did our brackets, and we think that we have a good idea of who is going to be in the Super Bowl. Mine's a little bit more bold. I don't think this is going to end up being the matchup, but I have a feeling that it's very realistic to happen. So we're going to start with you, Gocubs. What do you think is going to happen?
All right. So earlier in the season, I tweeted out who I thought was going to make the Super Bowl, and my prediction was Falcons and Raiders. And if Derek Carr was still healthy, I think I would keep that.
Mm-hmm.
However, just with them being on third string quarterback and the path that they'd have to go through in order to make that, I don't think it's reasonable for that to happen.
Right.
I'm sticking with the Falcons for the NFC because I think that the Falcons have the greatest potential, other than the Cowboys or the Packers, to win the Super Bowl, to make it to the Super Bowl and win it. And their offense is so underrated. I don't get why people don't talk about them more.
It's just that's the national media talking more about the teams that more people follow.
It's like I know that like it's really awesome that Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott are rookies and are leading the Dallas offense. That's great. Like, good for them.
Yeah.
But like, Matt Ryan's a fucking animal. He was 34 yards off of a 5,000 record and has the second most touchdowns in the NFL.
He's MVP caliber, and
he should get MVP.
He should get MVP based
in my
off
opinion.
Of yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think he should get MVP.
Yeah. And with Julio Julio Jones and Devontae Freeman also on his offense.
Yeah.
I think that they have a lot of great potential that they're going to live up to. They'll just have to get past the Cowboys or whoever defeats the Cowboys.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just to go off of that, we talk. A lot of people want to talk about triplets a lot, and the triplets that people have been talking about have been, you have, Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Des Bryant, or you have, the Patriots where you have Tom Brady, LeGarrette Blount, and like Julian Edelman.
Yeah.
But the true triplets, I feel, Devontae Freeman is the most underrated player in this league, by far. He has been playing amazing. Julio Jones is absolutely, one of the best wide receivers in the league, and Matt Ryan is playing the best football in the league right now in terms of at the quarterback position. It's shocking to me that people are not talking about him more, but what are you gonna do? Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and Ezekiel Elliott. Those are more storyline driven picks, I guess. But yeah. And so your AFC pick?
My AFC pick, I'm going a little bit safer with this. If you want to get your pitchforks ready, I don't care. But I'm surprised. I'm a Patriots fan.
Yeah.
And I think that other teams have a chance, and if Carr was still healthy, I'd go with it. I'd go with the Raiders all the way. But I'm going to pick the Patriots just because I think that's a reasonable choice, and they're going to be really hard to stop, especially since they're doing so well. And Martellus Bennett is great, but they're doing well without Gronkowski. So
yeah, no, I 100%. I think it's gonna be the Patriots are the clear favorite to win the whole thing, really, and it's gonna be tough to see. I think the NFC has more challenges for the Patriots than the AFC right now provides, but just I think I've been reading a lot of articles on the Kansas City Chiefs and how well they have a formula, they have a winning formula, and they've had the best record in the NFL over the course of the past year and a half regular season. They've been playing really good football, and if they can continue their dominance on defense that they've always been, have a really great offense, I think that they're a team that can challenge the Patriots. And there's also the Steelers that I was saying earlier, the just another triplet factor in Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown. Those guys have been fantastic, and the defense for the Steelers is getting better. So I think those are two factors in the AFC that can absolutely take on the Patriots, but they have been so dominant down the stretch. So it's going to be tough to stop them. So as for my picks, I was looking at the schedule, and I was actually looking at the past playoffs too. And since 2013, the number one seed has been in the Super Bowl for both conferences. It was Seahawks and Broncos in 2013. 2014 was Patriots and Seahawks. In 2015, Panthers, Broncos. No one else, no number two seed and down, none of them have made it to the Super Bowl until this year. I feel that not only will a number 3 seed get in, but I think a number 4 seed will get in as well.
I have no idea who your picks are.
I think that we're going to see a rematch. I'm so sorry to do this to you, Gocubs. We're going to see a rematch of Super Bowl 46.
I knew you were going to say that. No.
Packers, Super Bowl 51 in Houston. I think these are the two teams that could take down the Dallas Cowboys, and I think I think the Falcons are going to be a very tough test for the Packers, but I think the Packers have what it takes to beat the Cowboys. It's going to be tougher against the Falcons, but I think the Packers will get it done. And the Steelers, to me, I so wanted to pick the Chiefs for this. I so wanted to pick the Chiefs, but there's just something about the Steelers right now. They've just been rolling and rolling. I think they're just going to roll all the way into January. And another interesting fact, that the last 3 times that the Steelers and Dolphins have played each other in the playoffs, the only 3 times, in fact, the winner of that game has gone on to the Super Bowl. I'm picking the Steelers to beat the Dolphins, and if history repeats itself, the Steelers are going to the Super Bowl. So that is my predictions for right there. I think it's going to be tough for the Steelers to beat the Patriots, but it'll be interesting. I think it'll be just a great game if those two teams. It's two great offenses playing each other. Gocubs is just the Bears fan, and just the anti-Pittsburgh in him is just really just absolutely sizzling with hatred right now.
I don't know who I would root for.
I
literally don't.
I would probably, for me, if it was between these two teams, I'd probably root for the Packers. Good comeback story, from 4-6.
It's the Packers.
I realize that. I realize that, Gocubs. It's tough. Sometimes you have to look past that. So there you go. That is my pick. I think Chiefs and Packers would have been my second one. I didn't want to pick any of the number 1 seeds. I thought that to me that was too easy to do. I wanted to challenge myself a bit. But the Chiefs, I think, definitely have a good chance at it. And I think the Falcons, are a fantastic pick for NFC. I've already seen some expert and people pick the Falcons to beat the Cowboys easily.
Sweet.
So you're on the right track with that, and it could easily be the Patriots as well. So we'll see what happens. I'm liking these picks, and I love our first episode here. Is there anything that you want to add about this weekend? What anything else you're looking forward to? Anything like that?
I'm looking forward to both of your teams losing, even though I picked one of them.
Yeah. Hey, I think the Steelers and the Packers are in the two of the best wild card games. I think those will be a lot of fun to watch. And if I'll say this right now, if any of the also, I wanted to bring up a few things. Number one, if any of the teams on Wild Card Saturday end up making a run to the Super Bowl, that would be incredible. Considering how the situation's currently for all 4 of those teams. If the Giants make it to the Super Bowl and win, I will drink a bottle of ketchup.
Are you serious?
I am 100% serious. I will upload it. I am 100%.
Like squirting it into your mouth?
I'll squirt it in my mouth. I'll just use those like twisty top ones, take them off, and just chug it. I will drink a bottle of ketchup.
All right, you heard it. You heard it here, folks. I'm going to hold you to that.
Absolutely. I won't care because the Giants would have won the Super Bowl. I'm going to be so happy. So, but I just don't think they have it in them. But if they somehow pull it out, hey,
I don't. The Bears aren't in the playoffs, so I'm not making one of those.
No, no. I'm taking a risk here, but
if the Bears win the Super Bowl next year,
to be real,
as Alshon Jeffrey is predicting.
Yeah, I don't know why I think he's very high on his Bears team, but has he
seen our quarterback situation for the past 20?
Yeah, I don't know.
How long have the Bears been an organization?
Since like the
beginning.
Since the beginning of time. I would know that I was gonna say something about the Giants and I was gonna do something if they ended up winning the Super Bowl. I was thinking even more extreme measures at first. I was thinking of like getting like a tramp stamp of the Giants logo.
No, don't.
But I was just like, no, that's too extreme. And then Scott Hansen, NFL Red Zone, said that he would drink a bottle of ketchup if the Buccaneers somehow made the playoffs. So I was just like, you know what, that's a good one. I'll do the ketchup one.
Harmless enough. I really like ketchup.
Yeah. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you after the wild card round when we give our divisional picks.
Hopefully, I won't kill Chris.
I hope that I won't die either.
I will drive to New York. No, I won't.
I'm looking forward to these games, and hopefully it won't end in death. See you guys next time. Be good to one another. Be kind to one another. Bye-bye.